What's up, everybody? So, long week last week. Dad was here. Finally got him back home nice and safe, but we weren't able to finish getting all the sawing done. And he's got to get some stuff set up to put the sawmill back at his house again. So, I've got another week or so. My big pile has gotten much smaller. So, we're going to try and get the rest of these sawed up. I'm hoping to get most of them today. And get started on that pecan and get started cleaning up out here so that we can get started on the old house. So I'm gonna set it up on time lapse, get some stuff cleaned up, and get to cutting a bunch of wood. And then I think once I'm done with all this, we're gonna take a big tally and see just how much we've gotten cut sawn up over the past couple months. All right, guys, so I want to take a minute and show you a lot of what we're going to be cutting today. Now, that's a 4x6. And one of the reasons I'm cutting a lot of 4x6s is because both me and Robert need some bracing, some support stuff for under the house. And as you can see, a lot of these logs, these were gifted to me by a neighbor who was clearing some land. But you know, a lot of these logs aren't really big enough for anything other than maybe 1 or 2 2x4s, maybe 3 2x4s, or a 4x4 or 4x6. So, with lumber prices being like it is, and with these all being 12-foot logs here, all those little ones I want to be cutting into 4x6s for us building some barns and doing reinforcement work under our houses. So you'll be seeing me do a lot of the, I'll show you how I set one up and measure and go back, you know, figuring out the most wood I can get for a small log, because they're really hard to get any kind of yield out of. Alright, so I've got this little log here on the mill, and you can see this one's barely 7 inches, so there's no way we're going to get a 4x6 out of this, but I do think that once we trim it down we can get a 4x4 out of it. So that's what we're going to do. We've got it pretty much centered up now, so now we just got to go down till it's level enough to get 4 inches off the top, and then continue squaring it up. So one of the other hassles with these small logs, you see where I had to shim it there to keep the log from vibrating as the mill goes through it. It can definitely be a little bit tricky, but otherwise, really, I might get 3 or 4. I might get 3 or 4 2x4s. Actually, probably, I'd say 2 2x4s would be tops out of this. Don't you think, Robert?
Yeah.
And or maybe some 1-inch boards, but being that this is a little over a 12-foot log, 12-foot 4x4s are not cheap.
Yeah.
And something we're going to be needing a lot of. So just going to go ahead and get, basically the way I think about it is get the most bang for the buck, and so figure out with this log what can I make the most money out of, you know, per inch. Mm-hmm. So,
or save the most money.
Save the most money, right? Well, if you're, you know, I mean, it would be the same way if you were doing this, you know, had a small mill and cutting wood. For sure. You know, you'd be looking at it and selling it. So you'd look at a log and be like, how can I cut this to make the most money? Which is pretty much the same thing, because if we had to go buy it, you know, what we're doing, saving money.
Exactly.
Which What is that old saying? A penny saved is a penny earned.
That's right.
What is that commercial? What was that? It was like Ben Franklin. I forget that.
I know what you're talking about.
You know, because the end of it was like Ben Franklin said, "A penny saved is a penny earned."
Right.
Might be a little older than Robert can remember.
No, I'm very familiar with that. I don't remember the commercial, like Liberty Mutual or something.
It was something like. All right. You'll go operate the short end.
Yes, sir. What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
Hey, Rod.
I was saying, just making sure you knew which end was.
I know which one is my end.
Hey, don't tighten that down yet. Let's go down just a little bit till it touches. Till it almost touches, and then run it down this way, and that'll let us know about. Yeah, that's probably good because I think I'm gonna have to come up on this side. All right. And that looks pretty darn good. And go ahead and run it to the end, and we'll go ahead and go to this end, and we'll just go ahead and we got that knot, so we'll just go ahead and come down. Let's come down 1.5 inches, okay. And I think that will put us pretty close.
Inch and a half on both ends, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was about the same up there as it was down here.
Yeah.
I'll grab our other helmet. There should be one other one over here.
Yep, I got it. It's on the front of the tractor. In front of the tractor. Hey, I gotta go look at a cemetery later this week. But do you know why the doctor got the emergency call to the graveyard?
Why?
Because of all the coughing.
Not the forum for dad jokes, Robert. All right, guys, so we've got everything set up. We're going to go and basically just skim the top of this board now so that we can see how far down we need to come in order to get our 4x4. All right. It should start right off. right, so one thing you might notice is we were cutting. I was only going in just about an inch or an inch and a half at a time. You know, sometimes I'll go in 2 or 3 inches, but that's one of the more difficult things about cutting a smaller log like this, because the log will want to vibrate. So I can't take really big cuts. Now you can see I've only got about 5.5 more inches here on this small end, but I've got, and see, I still don't quite have enough room for 4 inches all the way down. So I think what we'll do, because we still need some sticker boards, 5, 6 inches. I think we're gonna go down 1 more inch. I think we're gonna go down 1 more inch and take 1 more inch off the top of this, and that should give us a good 4 inches all the way around. And now that I'm looking at this, I think we might be able to actually get a 4x6 out of this, Robert. It may not, going 4 inches across, it may not be perfect, but if we come down one more inch, I think we'll be able to go in 6 and down 4. Yeah, we'll be able to go in 6 and down 4, and that way, 4x6 is worth a lot more than a 4x4, and we have less waste when we get more. So we'll put it on time lapse just real quick while we get everything set up. Alright, so you can see what we're doing right now. We have to have sticker boards, and since I needed to go down a little bit further, there's no reason just to chop that, just, you know, clean the top off, because we have to have these stickers anyway. So this is another way we can get the most bang for our buck out of the wood we have, is trimming the top and making my 1x1 inch stickers for drying the wood. So we'll get this finished up, and then we'll start measuring and make sure we're going to be able to get a 4x6. So there we go, got a few good stickers out of it. We'll go ahead and put this little bit of scrap over here. I want to see how much waste we're going to get out of this log. I don't think it's actually going to be that much. So now let's let you hold that so I can measure here. Yeah, I think even right here, I think we're going to be, by going to cross 6, I think we're going to be dead on. We might lose a little on the end, but I think it's going to be almost a perfect 6x6 or 4x6. So we're going to have to go fill up our water jug and everything, and then we'll come back. I'll show you guys how we're going to set up to run and get our 6x6 started. All right, guys. So what I'm doing now is I'm setting this mill up to the narrowest point, or setting the blade up to the narrowest point of the log. Because you can see right here, we measured, and I just barely have 6 inches, a little over 6 inches, but by the time you account for the curve of the blade, it's going to be tight. So I might not get a full 4x6. I might be missing a couple feet to get a perfectly square 4x6, but that's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things for a lot of what we're going to be using these 4x6s for, such as bracing, you know, underneath the floors of the house, replacing some replacing any floor joists, you know, stuff like that we need to do. So I'm going to run it up. I've got it at the narrowest point. I'm going to go ahead and just run it up and make sure I'm not going to lose any. Now, since this is the skinny end, I should be good. And then come up here where it starts to narrow down a little bit. And it looks like I'm still going to have just that 6 inches. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to come back this direction first. And go down 4 inches and then make our 4-inch cut this way, and then we're going to start going in 2 inches at a time till you get to 6 inches, and then clean off the side. All right, so you got to go down 4 inches. I'm going to reset my indicator here. Easier done with both hands, I guess. Now he's pushing a little weight because, or putting some weight on the bar because the motor's down at the other end. So you gotta have a little weight to pull that cable nice and taut. All right. So we already know our mill is situated horizontally, so he's gonna flip it up vertically and come down and make this first cut.
I'm coming down this way like this, right?
Yes, sir. It's vertical, right? Yes. Yep. So I'll start cutting over a couple inches at a time. And I'm going to run to side our depth here. reasons I decided to make one big 4x6 with this, especially instead of 2x4s on a log this size, is if we had started cutting our 2x4s here, we would have started taking a whole lot of wood off of this log. You can see it's already a little bit starting to wobble a little bit. And so by the time we got to about here, because there's not much down here, it would have flipped like that and we would have lost everything. So this keeps the weight here. So now when he starts to come down, I'm gonna just put my foot on the edge here to keep it from vibrating, because there's not much holding it, and that way it should stay nice and straight and be a pretty good cut. Alrighty, let's see. Woo! Skin of our teeth. You can see where right here it's a little bit rounded, not perfectly square, where that log got a little bit narrow, but I think for except for that spot, right at 4 and right at 6. So we're actually 3 3/4 by 6 and by 5 3/4. Just that's how it. No, we're 4 and 5 3/4. But with rough cut lumber, it's you're allowed a 1/4 inch off. So, but this will be perfect for doing what we need to do. And one of the reasons that it's probably off a little bit is because you saw this thing vibrating, because there just wasn't any weight to hold this log down. But for farm use, and especially just for some reinforcement, I think it's going to do just fine, don't you?
Absolutely.
And so now you can see we got one pretty expensive board, a 12-foot 4x6. I'm not even going to guess, but I'm guessing they're probably pretty expensive right now. I haven't had to buy any lumber, but we've got. That's what we wasted, which really isn't usable. Plus we got sticker boards that we needed anyway. right, so on top of adding quite a bit of wood to our weatherboard stack, we knocked down our pile a little bit more. We're in what, maybe 3 hours or so. I've got ones I've cut today, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7 4x6s and about 3 4x4s, all 12 foot. We've also added to our 5/4 board trim pile and added a whole lot of sawdust. A whole lot of sawdust. As you can see, the sawmill looks a little bit like it's sitting down in a hole.
Sure enough.
We're gonna have to dig this thing back out because it's kind of crazy. How deep is this right here? Oh God, no, it's
a foot, 2 feet?
Probably 2 feet.
Going. 24 inches.
I'm still nowhere near down the yard. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So, but a lot of this we're going to get piled up for flower beds and.
You do your closeout. We're going to stand over here.
Yeah. See, here. All right. So this works out pretty well for Robert because I can stand down in a hole.
I like this. I much prefer this.
So I'm gonna have to find a hole to stand in from now on. All right, guys. So anyway, we got a lot of wood cut today, and got a lot more coming up. Almost done with this stack of pines. I'm gonna have to cut a big pine or two on the back to finish up the rest of the weatherboard for the house. But I think that we have about enough for underneath the old bird farm, where we need to do some supports underneath my house and some other projects. So,
you know, one thing that we need to do, and I just thought about this since sawmill's about to go away, is go figure out how much wood we need for that smokehouse.
Yeah, we do. A lot of that, I mean, we got that underneath that tarp. That's almost all the big poplar.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that.
Might have to go drop one of my pine trees for some board and batten. Or, yeah, board and batten.
Yeah. And I didn't think about that. We got enough of those that are big enough, maybe not for weatherboard, but we can definitely cut board and batten left over. So we'll figure up square footage on that and get that cut out. So we need so much wood, but the old man needs his wood too, his sawmill back. So I know it won't be but a few months, so I'll get it back down here and we're gonna collect up logs and get even more cut. Or maybe we just get all froggy and go get our own sawmill.
Yeah.
Never know. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Check out Robert's channel because you'll be seeing a lot of this wood here being used over at the old bird farm. And we'll see y'all next time.